The Zarglax Empire was, by all galactic accounts, the most fearsome military force in the known universe. With a battle record of 2780 across 17 galaxies, they were the undefeated champions of conquest, the undisputed masters of subjugation, and the reigning monarchs of making other species grovel pathetically at their feet. Commander Vork's Tizzlebang stood proudly on the command deck of the Eternal Devastator, flagship of the Zarglax Galactic Armada, gazing at the holographic projection of a small blue planet. "Earth," he said, his four nostrils flaring with anticipation. "Finally, after 12 years of preparation, we will add this insignificant dirt ball to our glorious empire." Lieutenant Morp Gibblewax looked up from his data terminal. "Sir, final preparations are complete. Operation Earthsquash is ready to commence on your order." Commander Tizzlebang's tentacles wriggled with pleasure. He had personally overseen every aspect of the invasion plan, meticulously researching this primitive planet and its dominant species, humans. 12 years of intercepting their primitive radio and television signals had provided the Zarglax with everything they needed to know. Humans were soft, squishy creatures who spent most of their time watching reality shows, arguing about politics, and taking pictures of their food. "Remind me again of our overwhelming advantages," Lieutenant Tizzlebang commanded, though he knew them by heart. He just loved hearing about how superior they were. "Yes, sir." The Zarglax Armada consists of 10,000 warships, each capable of vaporizing a continent. Our soldiers are genetically engineered for combat, with reinforced exoskeletons that can withstand primitive projectile weapons. Our technology is approximately 4,000 years ahead of Earth's most advanced systems. Our psychic warriors can induce fear and confusion in the human populace. And we have thoroughly analyzed all of their defensive capabilities through their own media. Excellent. And their primary defensive strategy? Based on their most widely distributed documentary series, I believe they call it movies, and they rely heavily on a single human, typically a male with abundant upper body musculature, who somehow defeats entire armies through sheer determination and an improbable ability to avoid injury. Tizzlebang released a guttural laugh that echoed across the command deck. One human against the might of the Zarglax? Their extinction will be even more pathetic than we anticipated. Admiral Nebel Quarks, the highest-ranking officer in the Armada, slithered onto the command deck. His green scales glinted under the harsh lights as he approached Tizzlebang. "Commander, the invasion fleet is assembled. All 10,000 ships are ready for the glory of conquest," Quarks announced, his forked tongue flicking between his jagged teeth. "Excellent, Admiral. We've studied these humans extensively. Their technology is laughable. Their militaries are fragmented. Their greatest weapon appears to be something called nukes, which are basically just primitive fusion bombs that would barely scratch our level 12 shields." Tizzlebang gestured dismissively with one of his smaller tentacles. "What about their worldwide defensive alliance?" asked Officer Plim Zodelfiz, the young tactical specialist who had joined the command staff just last cycle. "You mean the United Nations?" Tizzlebang scoffed. "Based on our observations, they spend most of their time writing strongly worded letters and arguing over seating arrangements." The bridge erupted in chittering laughter. "Our invasion will be executed in 3 phases, Tizzlebang continued, activating a detailed holographic battle plan. "First, our scout ships will conduct a final reconnaissance and eliminate any early detection systems. Second, we'll deploy our ground forces in strategic locations. And finally, we'll reveal ourselves and demand their unconditional surrender." "And if they resist?" asked Admiral Quarks. Tizzlebang's facial tentacles curled into what passed for a smile in Zarglax culture. "Then we get to have some fun. But let's be realistic. Their most advanced aircraft can barely break the sound barrier. Their communications rely on physical cables and primitive wireless signals. Their weapons are based on the principle of hurling small metal objects really fast. It will be like taking candy from a hatchling." "Speaking of which," Admiral Quarks interjected, "our cultural assimilation team has prepared a list of Earth resources worth harvesting. Apparently, they have something called chocolate that preliminary analysis suggests would be quite valuable on the galactic market." As the Zarglax fleet approached the outer boundaries of the solar system, Tizzlebang surveyed his invasion force with pride. Thousands of ships, millions of troops, and the most advanced technology in the galaxy all focused on one insignificant planet. The humans wouldn't know what hit them. "Send in the advanced scout team," Tizzlebang ordered. "Commander Grix Pazzleflap is leading the reconnaissance mission, correct?" "Yes, sir," Lieutenant Gibblewax confirmed. "Commander Pazzleflap and his elite team are our best infiltrators. They'll have the planet's defenses mapped and neutralized before the humans even realize they're there." "Excellent. Victory is not just assured, it's boring in its inevitability," Tizzlebang declared, settling into his command chair. "Wake me when Commander Pazzleflap reports that the path is clear." Little did Commander Tizzlebang know that this routine conquest was about to become the most embarrassing chapter in Zarglax military history. Commander Grix Pazzleflap was the most decorated scout in the Zarglax fleet. His 16 appendages had earned him the nickname Grabby among his peers, though never to his face. He had infiltrated 63 planets, neutralized countless defensive systems, and had once remained undercover for a full rotational cycle on the lava planet Vorxnar VA, wearing nothing but heat-resistant undershorts and a determined expression. So when his stealth shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere under the cover of night, cloaking systems fully engaged, he felt nothing but confident boredom. Another day, another planetary conquest. Status report. Bet. He clicked to his team of 5 elite infiltrators as their craft silently descended toward a seemingly random patch of land in the area Earth inhabitants labeled Nebraska. "All systems optimal, Commander," reported Technician Flark Bomblewise. "Our ship is completely invisible to Earth detection systems. Local communication channels indicate no awareness of our presence. The landing zone appears to be an isolated agricultural region with minimal population density." "Perfect. Remember your training, team. These humans may be primitive, but they outnumber us. We must be cautious and methodical." Pazzleflap's voice carried the weight of experience. "Our mission is simple: assess their defensive capabilities, neutralize early warning systems, and prepare the way for the main invasion force." The ship touched down in a flat, open field. The team, clad in their advanced stealth suits that bent light around them, rendering them nearly invisible, disembarked into the cool night air. "Scanners detect a primitive structure approximately half a rotation away," announced security specialist Zun Whizzlecrank, pointing with 3 of his tentacles toward a distant farmhouse, likely a human dwelling. "Excellent. We'll begin our reconnaissance there. Set weapons to stun. Remember, the Grand Commander wants specimens for study." Pazzleflap took point, leading his team across the field toward the distant lights. They were halfway there when the first disaster struck. "Commander." "Emergency," shrieked Whizzlecrank, his voice shooting up 3 octaves as he frantically danced in place. "Silence, fool," Pazzleflap hissed. "What is the, I'm covered in some sort of caustic defense mechanism." The security specialist was frantically trying to wipe something off his tentacles. "It's all over me." Pazzleflap rushed over and examined the substance in the moonlight. "This appears to be some sort of Earth excrement. Fascinating. Their fauna must produce this as a territorial marker." "It's in my breathing pores." Whizzlecrank continued to panic. Analyzing the substance, biologist Zeal Quadruplop looked up from her scanner. "It appears to be waste material from a primitive Earth quadruped, bovine origin. Non-toxic, though admittedly unpleasant." "You mean I stepped in? Animal droppings?" Whizzlecrank's panic subsided into embarrassment. "Focus, team. We have a mission." Pazzleflap tried to maintain dignity, though the smell was indeed awful. They continued toward the farmhouse, now visible as a simple 2-story structure. As they approached, a strange entity emerged from a small outbuilding. "Indigenous life form detected," whispered Quadruplop. "Appears to be a domesticated Earth creature." The creature, a large, furry quadruped with pointed ears and a wagging appendage, suddenly stopped. It turned directly toward the invisible aliens and began emitting a rhythmic, high-volume vocalization. "Woof, woof, woof, woof." Our cloaking technology has failed, gasped Communications Officer Blurb Wigglesnort. The creature can detect us. Impossible, Pazzleflap insisted. Our technology is perfect. The woof sounds continued, growing more frantic. Lights began to illuminate in the farmhouse. The creature must have enhanced sensory capabilities, Pazzleflap concluded. It's alerting the humans. Neutralize it quickly. Weapons Officer Dram Whizzlebeep aimed his paralysis ray at the barking creature. He fired and missed completely as the dog bounded energetically around the yard. It's too fast, Whizzlebeep complained, firing again and hitting a metal container which immediately erupted in a cacophony of clanging as dozens of empty aluminum cans spilled across the yard. The front door of the farmhouse burst open. A male human emerged, holding what Pazzleflap recognized from their intelligence briefings as a shotgun. "Who's out there?" the human called. "I'm armed. Retreat. Back to the ship," Pazzleflap ordered, but it was too late. The farmhouse's external lighting system suddenly activated, bathing the yard in brightness. While their stealth suits bent light, they couldn't prevent shadows, and 5 distinctly non-human shadows were now clearly visible on the ground. "What in tarnation?" the farmer exclaimed, raising his shotgun. In their panic, the team scattered. Whizzlecrank ran directly into a clothesline, becoming entangled in what appeared to be enormous human undergarments. Wigglesnort tripped over a garden tool, landing face first in a patch of vegetation. Whizzlebeep, trying to provide covering fire, accidentally hit the farm's irrigation system, which burst into action, soaking the entire team and short-circuiting their stealth suits. Very visible, very wet, and very confused alien infiltrators now stood exposed in the farmyard. The farmer stared. The aliens stared back. The dog continued barking. After a moment of shocked silence, the farmer lowered his shotgun slightly. "If you fellas are here about them crop circles, I already told the History Channel people I ain't interested in no interview." Pazzleflap, drawing on his extensive diplomatic training, managed to respond, "We come in? Peace?" The farmer raised an eyebrow. "Uh-huh. Well, whatever convention you're headed to, you're trespassing. Get off my property before I call the sheriff." The team didn't need to be told twice. They scrambled back toward their ship, dignity in tatters. Once safely aboard, Pazzleflap opened an emergency communication channel to the fleet. "Commander Tizzlebang, we have encountered complications." "What kind of complications?" Tizzlebang's irritated voice crackled through the comm system. "The humans have some sort of advanced biosensory alarm systems that can detect our presence, despite our cloaking technology." Pazzleflap decided not to mention it was actually a golden retriever named Buddy. "And their weapons?" Tizzlebang demanded. Pazzleflap thought about the shotgun. Primitive, but potentially problematic in sufficient numbers. "Are their defense systems neutralized?" "Not exactly. We need to reassess our approach." Pazzleflap tried to maintain some professional dignity, while Whizzlecrank attempted to remove a pair of floral-patterned underwear that had wrapped around his head tentacles. "This is unacceptable, Commander Pazzleflap. Perhaps we underestimated these humans. We'll accelerate the timeline. The main fleet will begin its approach immediately." Tizzlebang ended the transmission abruptly. Pazzleflap looked at his bedraggled team. Well, that could have gone better. As their ship lifted off, the farmer watched from his porch, shotgun resting on his shoulder. He sighed, pulled out his phone, and dialed. "Hey, Sheriff. Tom Wilkins over on County Road 8. Yeah, them UFO enthusiasts are trespassing again. Real elaborate costumes this time. You might want to send someone out." "No, I didn't get photos. My dog scared him off." Admiral Nebel Quarks had never lost a battle in his 300-cycle military career. His tactics were studied at the Zarglax War Academy. His name was whispered with reverence and fear across 17 galaxies. So when Commander Tizzlebang reported the scout team's unexpected difficulties, Quarks merely flicked his tail dismissively. In the minor setback, We will adjust accordingly, he declared from the command platform of his flagship, the inevitable conquest. Deploy the fleet in standard conquest formation. Target their major population centers simultaneously. The vast armada began its approach to Earth, 10,000 warships emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. It was a sight that had made numerous civilizations surrender immediately, the night sky filled with the silhouettes of doom. Except no one on Earth seemed to notice. "Admiral, we're not detecting any planetary defense response," reported the confused sensor officer. "Their military communications continue as normal. Their entertainment broadcasts remain uninterrupted. There's a program about humans competing to bake desserts that's particularly popular right now." Quark's scales rippled with irritation. "Impossible. We have 10,000 warships in orbit. Their primitive detection systems should be overwhelmed." "Sir," ventured his science officer timidly, "it appears their detection systems are indeed primitive. So primitive they're not designed to look for ships of our size and composition. Their radar systems are calibrated for their own aircraft. We're simply not registering." The Admiral's jaw dropped, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. "Are you telling me they can't see us because their technology is too primitive?" "Essentially, yes, sir." "Fine. Then we'll make them see us." Quark slammed his clawed fist on the command console. "Execute Phase 2 immediately. Deploy ground forces to their largest city, the one they call New York." Within minutes, 500 transport ships descended toward Manhattan. The Zarglax military prided itself on precision, and the first wave landed exactly according to plan. The ships positioned themselves above Central Park, Times Square, the financial district, and other strategic locations. Transport Officer Clang Zipplefoot checked the landing coordinates again. "Sir, deployment complete. Troops are disembarking in New York City as planned." "Excellent. Now we shall witness the panic and chaos as these primitives face the might of." "Sir, incoming transmission from Ground Commander Blorg Tittlefizz." The commander's agitated face appeared on screen. "Admiral, we have a situation." "Report, Commander." "The humans, they're ignoring us." "What?" "What?" The camera panned to show a Zarglax heavy assault vehicle hovering 3 feet above the ground in the middle of Times Square. Around it, humans continued walking, shopping, taking selfies, and going about their business. One tourist even leaned against the invisible ship while checking her map. "Our cloaking systems must still be engaged," Quarks insisted. "Negative, Admiral. We're fully visible. Watch." The camera showed a Zarglax warrior stepping directly into the path of an approaching human. The human, never looking up from his phone, simply walked around the alien, muttering, "Crazy cosplayers. Comic-Con isn't until next month." Another Zarglax soldier attempted to intercept a human female, who glanced at him, rolled her eyes, and said, "Not interested in your TikTok prank, buddy," before continuing on her way. "What is happening?" Admiral Quarks bellowed. Commander Tizzlebang, who had joined the Admiral on the bridge, cleared his throat nervously. "I believe I can explain, sir. Based on our intercepted entertainment broadcasts, humans have been exposed to countless fictional depictions of alien invasions. But they become desensitized. They think we're either people in costumes or some sort of publicity stunt. But we're clearly not human. We have tentacles, scales, 4 eyes. Sir, have you seen their entertainment program called The Masked Singer?" Before Quarks could respond, another frantic transmission came through, this time from a squad in Central Park. "Mayday. Mayday. Our quantum tanks are being vandalized." The video feed showed a group of human adolescents spray painting what appeared to be anatomically incorrect genitalia on the side of an advanced war machine, capable of leveling fractional mountains. Mountains. "Why aren't you vaporizing them?" Quarks demanded. "We tried activating our weapons systems, but the feed showed a Zarglax gunner frantically pushing buttons on a control panel. Nothing happened." The science officer coughed politely. "It appears, Admiral, that Earth's atmosphere contains significantly higher levels of moisture than our simulations predicted." Our energy weapons require extremely dry conditions to function properly. Are you telling me our entire arsenal is useless because it's humid? I'm afraid so, sir. Additionally, their planet's magnetic field is interfering with our targeting systems. Our troops are experiencing unexpected allergic reactions to something called pollen. And 3 of our landed ships have been commandeered by small flying creatures building nests in crucial propulsion vents. Admiral Quark stared silently into space for a long moment. Then, with forced calm, "Get me Commander Pazelflap's scout team. Immediately." Lieutenant Dram Whizzlebeep was having the worst day of his military career. As the weapons officer on Commander Pazelflap's scout team, he had trained for decades in the art of advanced weaponry. He could disintegrate a target from orbit, manipulate gravitational fields to crush enemy fortifications, and once won the Zarglax sharpshooting championship by hitting a moving target 17 miles away during a sandstorm. Now he was trying unsuccessfully to intimidate a human child who had been following him for the past 20 minutes, asking if his costume was from something called Fortnite. "I am a fearsome Zarglax warrior," Whizzlebeep insisted, waving his arms menacingly. "Your planet is being conquered as we speak." The child, approximately 8 Earth years old with a sticky substance smeared around his mouth, looked unimpressed. "My brother has that same voice changer. Did you get it on Amazon?" "This is my actual voice. I am an alien invader." "Sure, whatever. Can you do the floss?" The child proceeded to demonstrate a bizarre swinging dance move. Whizzlebeep's communicator mercifully beeped, giving him an excuse to step away from the persistent youngster. "Lieutenant Whizzlebeep here. Report to the Central Command Post immediately," came Pazelflap's tense voice. "The invasion is not proceeding as planned." The Central Command Post was, embarrassingly, the back room of a human-eating establishment called Ray's Pizza. The scout team had requisitioned it by purchasing 14 large pepperoni with extra cheese and leaving a generous tip. The human proprietor seemed unconcerned that his customers had multiple limbs and green skin, merely commenting, "Broadway performers, huh? Which show?" Inside, Commander Pazelflap was hunched over a table covered with crude paper maps, purchased at a nearby tourist information booth, and empty pizza boxes. The entire scout team, plus several officers from the ground forces, crowded the small space. "The situation is deteriorating rapidly," Pazelflap announced as Whizzlebeep entered. "Our weapons are malfunctioning, our communications are spotty, and our troops are experiencing various medical issues." Technical Officer Zorp Fribbledink elaborated. 17% of our forces are experiencing severe allergic reactions to Earth substances. 12% have been incapacitated by something the humans call food poisoning after consuming samples of local cuisine for analysis. And 43% are reporting intense headaches from the constant noise of this planet. "What about our heavy artillery?" Whizzlebeep asked. "Useless," replied Ground Commander Blorg Tittlefizz. "The humidity has rendered energy weapons non-functional. Our tanks can't navigate the urban environment. Something called parallel parking seems to be beyond our most sophisticated AI. And 3 of our walkers were immobilized when they stepped in waste from indigenous quadrupeds." "Dog poop," clarified Security Specialist Whizzlecrank with a shudder. "It's everywhere." Communications Officer Wigglesnort raised several tentacles. "Additionally, our secure channels are being constantly interrupted by something called classic rock radio and the Earth communication system, the Internet. That is so chaotic and illogical that our codebreakers have given up trying to make sense of it." "But the most alarming development," continued Pazelflap, "is that images of our troops are spreading on human social media platforms. But instead of panic, we're generating likes and shares. The humans think we're something called viral marketing for an upcoming film." The door opened, and a harried-looking Admiral Quark slithered in, followed by Commander Tizzlebang. The officers snapped to attention. "The situation is worse than we thought," Quarks announced without preamble. "Their world leaders remain unaware of our presence. Our attempts to hack into their emergency broadcast systems resulted in nothing more than interrupting something called the Bachelor, which has apparently made us more enemies than our actual invasion force." "Sir," ventured Pazelflap carefully, "I believe we should consider a tactical withdrawal to reassess our strategy." "Retreat," Quark's scales flushed red with anger. The Zarglax Empire has never retreated. At that moment, the door opened again, and the pizza shop owner stuck his head in. "Hey, green guys, there's a bunch of men in suits outside asking questions," said they're from something called the health department. Something about food service permits and too many people in the back room. As if on cue, all their communicators simultaneously beeped with emergency signals. Officer Plem Zodalfiz, who had been monitoring the fleet, reported breathlessly, "Admiral, multiple ships are reporting catastrophic systems failures. Something in Earth's atmosphere is corroding our hull plating. Our ships were designed for the vacuum of space, not this pollution," offered the science officer. "Their air is full of corrosive compounds from their primitive combustion technologies." A crash from outside was followed by frantic chatter on the comm system. "This is Squad 7. Our hover transport just collided with a yellow Earth vehicle marked taxi. The human operator is making threatening gestures and producing high-volume vocalizations." Another emergency signal, medical team reporting widespread gastrointestinal distress among troops who sampled the hot dogs from street vendors, requesting immediate evacuation. And another, engineering corps, reporting total failure of terraforming equipment. The local wildlife pigeons and rats chewed through critical wiring. Admiral Quarks looked at the chaotic reports flooding in, then at his bedraggled officers crammed into the pizza shop back room, then at the peeling poster of New York's best pizza on the wall. His mighty shoulders slumped in defeat. "Prepare evacuation protocols," he said quietly. "The invasion of Earth is cancelled." The retreat was not going well. Officer Plem Zodalfiz, coordinating from one of the few fully functional ships still in orbit, watched the chaos unfold on multiple monitors. The withdrawal, intended to be a smooth and orderly operation, had devolved into scenes that would have been comical if they weren't so pathetic. In Central Park, a squadron of elite Zarglax warriors was being chased by territorial geese. In Times Square, 3 hover tanks were hopelessly stuck in gridlock traffic, their commanders being berated by human cab drivers for blocking the damn intersection. Near the harbor, a troop transport had accidentally dumped its waste recycling system into the water, attracting the attention of the human authorities not because of the toxic alien waste, but because they didn't have the proper dumping permits. And most humiliatingly, the Zarglax Command Center Ray's Pizza had been shut down by the health department for multiple violations, including unidentified life forms in the food preparation area. Admiral Quarks' voice crackled over the emergency channel. "All units, abandon equipment if necessary. Priority is extraction of personnel. Return to orbit immediately." "Sir," Zodalfiz reported, "only 40% of our ships are space-worthy. The atmospheric corrosion has compromised hull integrity on the others." "Then we cram everyone into the functional ships," Quarks ordered. "No Zarglax left behind." The evacuation points they'd established were chaotic. Troops sprinted toward the extraction zones, some still being pursued by Earth wildlife, others trying to shake off persistent humans asking for selfies or attempting to give them religious pamphlets. Commander Tizzlebang, directing operations from the flagship, was livid. How could our intelligence have been so wrong? These humans aren't primitive, they're insane. Their planet is a death trap. "Sir," reported a frantic sensor operator, "human military aircraft are finally approaching our positions. They've discovered us." On the monitor, several small jets appeared, circling the largest concentration of Zarglax ships. "Prepare defensive measures," Tizzlebang ordered. "Sir, the aircraft aren't attacking. They're observing." "Inigo." Another voice cut in the communications officer. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human aircraft. Audio only." "Put it through," Tizzlebang commanded. A human voice filled the bridge. "Unidentified craft. This is the United States Air Force. You are conducting unauthorized aerial activity in restricted airspace. Identify yourselves immediately, or you will be escorted to the nearest airfield." Tizzlebang stared incredulously at the speaker. "They think we're unauthorized aircraft? We have ships the size of their buildings hovering over their city." "Sir." The science officer interjected. It appears their bureaucracy is as formidable as their obliviousness. They're following protocol for unidentified aerial phenomena. Respond with our standard invasion message, Tizzlebang ordered. Make it clear we are an alien force. After the transmission was sent, there was a long pause before the human replied. Very funny. Listen, if this is another SpaceX test gone wrong, you need to notify the FAA in advance. Elon can't keep doing this. Before Tizzlebang could respond, multiple alarms blared across the bridge. Sir, the atmospheric corrosion is accelerating. We're losing ships faster than predicted. How many extraction vessels remain functional? Only 23, sir. Enough for barely 1% of our invasion force. Tizzlebang's facial tentacles drooped. Begin selection protocols. Senior officers, scientific personnel, and a representative sample of troops. Everyone else, he paused, the words painful. Everyone else will have to be left behind. Officer Zarglax, overhearing this exchange, made a quick decision. As a junior tactical officer, he wasn't on the priority evacuation list. But he knew the coordinates of an overlooked scout ship that was still intact, Commander Pazelflap's original infiltration vessel. Lieutenant Whizzlebeep, he called over a private channel to his academy friend, meet me at coordinates 40.7 deg north, 74.0 deg west. Bring anyone you can. I have a plan. 30 minutes later, Zarglax, Whizzlebeep, and 14 other Zarglax soldiers, a mix of scouts, technicians, and ground troops, were crammed into the small scout ship designed for 6. This vessel isn't rated for interstellar travel, warned technician Bomblewise. The hyperspace engine might get us out of this system, but not all the way home. We don't need to get all the way home, Zarglax replied, initiating the launch sequence. We just need to get far enough to send a warning message. As their small ship lifted off from behind an abandoned warehouse, they could see the remnants of the once mighty invasion force. The few functional capital ships were already breaking atmosphere, leaving behind thousands of stranded troops and disabled vessels. What will happen to those left behind? Asked a young soldier, watching the city grow smaller beneath them. They'll be captured, studied, probably displayed in human research facilities, Whizzlebeep said grimly. Zarglax shook his head. I don't think so. Based on what we've seen, the humans will either think they're elaborate pranksters or recruit them for their entertainment industry. Either way, it's a fate worse than death. As the small scout ship broke through Earth's upper atmosphere, they received one final transmission from Admiral Quark's retreating flagship to all Zarglax forces. Earth is hereby classified as threat level black. No further contact authorized. May the ancestors forgive our hubris. The 16 survivors looked at each other in solemn silence. They were now the only hope of warning the Empire about the true nature of Earth and its inhabitants. Zarglax engaged the hyperspace engine, which whined ominously. Hold on to your tentacles. This might get bumpy. With a flash of light and a concerning series of mechanical groans, the overcrowded scout ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the blue planet behind, perhaps the first intelligent decision any Zarglax had made since spotting Earth on their star charts. The Grand Galactic Council chamber had never been so silent. 200 representatives from across the Zarglax Empire sat in stunned disbelief as Officer Plem Zarglax completed his report. And thus, of the original invasion force consisting of 10,000 ships and 6 million personnel, only our vessel with 16 survivors managed to escape. The rest were either destroyed by Earth's hostile environment or abandoned on its surface. Supreme Chancellor Vork's Grudel Plax, his ceremonial headpiece quivering with emotion, finally spoke. But you expect us to believe that the mightiest military force in 17 galaxies was defeated by primitive bipeds who didn't even notice they were being invaded? That is correct, Chancellor, Zarglax confirmed. The humans possess a combination of characteristics that make them uniquely dangerous. They are simultaneously oblivious and adaptable, bureaucratic and chaotic, primitive and incomprehensible. Lieutenant Whizzlebeep stepped forward, still sporting a rash from his Earth encounter. Chancellor, we brought evidence. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the chamber, showing various scenes from the failed invasion, Zarglax warriors being asked for directions by confused tourists, the advanced hover tanks stuck in traffic jams, troops succumbing to various Earth ailments from allergies to food poisoning. And perhaps most humiliatingly, a group of elite commandos being chased through a park by what appeared to be small furry creatures with bushy tails. "What are those?" demanded a council member, pointing at the pursuing animals. "The humans call them squirrels," Whizzlebeep explained. "Apparently they're quite territorial about their nuts." Minister of War Grazzle Pukepert slammed his appendage on the council table. "This is clearly manipulated footage. A propaganda trick. The mighty Zarglax Empire cannot be defeated by squirrels." "We conducted a thorough analysis of what went wrong," Zodalfiz continued, ignoring the outburst. "Our intelligence on Earth was fundamentally flawed. We based our understanding of their defenses on their entertainment broadcasts, what we now know were fictional narratives, not documentaries of their actual capabilities." Additionally, added Technician Bomblewise, who had joined the presentation, "their planet itself is hostile to our biology and technology. The atmosphere contains corrosive elements. Their wildlife is aggressive and unpredictable. Their social systems defy logical analysis. But most dangerously," Zodalfiz emphasized, "the humans themselves possess a quality we've never encountered in any other species. They normalize the abnormal with astonishing speed. When faced with clearly alien beings, most simply incorporated us into their existing worldview, rather than updating that worldview to accommodate our existence." The Supreme Chancellor absorbed this information with growing horror. "And you believe they will now pursue us? Seek revenge for our invasion attempt?" Zodalfiz and his fellow survivors exchanged glances before bursting into uncontrollable laughter, their tentacles writhing with mirth. "Forgive us, Chancellor," Zodalfiz managed after regaining his composure. "The humans have no idea we even attempted an invasion. Those who encountered our forces categorized us according to their existing belief systems. Religious groups claimed we were demons or angels. Conspiracy theorists added us to their already extensive lists of government cover-ups. And most authorities dismissed reports of our presence as pranks or hallucinations." Commander Squibblesnort, who had led the disastrous Manhattan landing operation, limped forward on his 3 remaining limbs. "I personally witnessed a human female capture an image of me with her communication device, only to be told by her peers that her Photoshop skills were improving but the lighting was unrealistic. Even when presented with irrefutable evidence of extraterrestrial contact," added Science Officer Glorp Bubblemesh, "humans demonstrated an astonishing capacity to simply move on. One of our scout ships crashed into what we later learned was called a Walmart parking lot. By the time our recovery team arrived, humans had surrounded the wreckage. But they were not studying it, they were taking images of themselves standing beside it for their social media platforms." The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. "The most disturbingly," continued Zodalfiz, "our psychological warfare tactics completely backfired. Our carefully engineered nightmare-inducing appearance merely resulted in humans creating merchandise of us. Before we evacuated Miami, there were already plush toys of our shock troopers being sold on street corners." The medical officer Splendiferous Quackblaster adjusted her breathing apparatus nervously. "We also discovered that humans are walking biohazards to our kind. Their microbiome alone contains organisms that devour our epidermis. And they spread these organisms everywhere. Everything they touch becomes a biological weapon against us." Lieutenant Whizzlebeep pulled up another holographic display. "This is what happened to our elite infiltration unit after they attempted to blend in by attending something called a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party." The footage showed proud Zarglax warriors collapsing in convulsions after contact with what appeared to be small humans, whose appendages were covered in an unknown sticky substance. "Frosting and saliva," explained Whizzlebeep gravely. "A combination more deadly to our biology than our most advanced neurotoxins." Supreme Chancellor Grudelplax's eye stalks drooped in dismay. "So what you're saying is, Earth must be designated as a Class X Omega prohibited zone," Zodalfiz stated firmly. "Not because the humans are advanced, but because they are dangerously unpredictable and inexplicably resilient. They function in conditions that should be uninhabitable, consume substances that should be toxic, and maintain social cohesion through systems that defy all rational analysis. War Minister Puke Pertz, still skeptical, squinted at the data. But they don't even have unified planetary governance. Their technology is primitive. Their natural defenses are negligible. With all due respect, Minister, replied Zottelfiz, that is precisely what makes them dangerous. They have no central point of failure. They're redundant, inefficient, and chaotic systems make them virtually impossible to subjugate through conventional means. They are fractured into thousands of cultural and governmental entities that simultaneously compete and cooperate in ways that make no strategic sense yet somehow function. Navigator Zingle Poppletwist, who had piloted the escape vessel, added, and they are expanding. We detected primitive but functional spacecraft in numerous artificial satellites. It is only a matter of time before they venture beyond their solar system. The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. Finally, Chancellor Grudelplex spoke. I propose an immediate vote on 3 measures. First, designation of Sol system as prohibited for all Zarglax travel. Second, establishment of a monitoring perimeter at a safe distance. And third, he paused dramatically, the immediate development of diplomatic protocols should the humans ever find us. Commander Squibblesnort shuddered. Let us hope they never do. One of their young asked me for something called TikTok followers before I could escape. I still don't understand what that means, but it haunts my nightmares. The vote was unanimous. Earth would be avoided at all costs. The humans would be left to their own devices, a fact for which the galaxy would, unknowingly, be eternally grateful.